What about you? I'm Andy and welcome back to my channel where I like to make cool robots from junk you'd normally throw away. So if that's something you'd fancy, stick around. So I've got a couple of bots here from a previous build video that need painted, and Artiscapade were kind enough to send me a set of brushes. This is their fine detail brush set. So I'm going to do my best to review those and of course show off some more of your builds. So yeah, to start, here's a build from Kris. Kris sent this in by email and he claims this is his first scratch build, but I really don't believe him. This is just crazy, man, really well done. And he says he's been working on it for a wee while, but that work has really paid off. Really good build. All the details are just brilliant. So nicely done, Kris. So I've got my bots here primed, ready to go. I went for some red oxide again this time. I'm really liking this red oxide. So just get them off their bases. They're just held on with some blue tack at the minute, and get them ready to go. And Earl made a good point about this guy needing a wee viewing slot, so I've added a wee viewing slot for you there, Earl. And thanks very much for all the suggestions, dude. Keep them coming. And get these guys cleared up, and then get my new brushes. And I haven't even touched this box yet. I wanted to keep it fresh and do a proper first unboxing on my channel, and hopefully not the last. Artiscapade were also kind enough to send me a 30% off code, so if you're thinking about buying some new brushes, get yourself 30% off there. The code's in the description. So let me just show you my brushes that I normally use. These are my typical scruffy brushes for my rust coat, and then my smaller detail brushes. And I'll probably keep using my scruffier brushes because it does tend to ruin a brush when you're sort of stipple coating stuff. So yeah, it's exciting to try some new brushes. And first off, this packaging is lovely. I'll reuse that obviously just for keeping them in. And I've got a wee thank you for your purchase card, and it's actually a QR code on the back here for a free ebook, and it's just on sort of general maintenance and looking after them and cleaning them, and just some wee tips you wouldn't normally think of for looking after brushes. So I'll put that there. I'll just move these over here, keep them in shot, and see what's in the bag here. But yeah, nice wee sort of flannelette bag. It's really sort of soft, like microfiber material. And get a look at the brushes. 15 of them all together. It's a 15 brush fine detail set. I really like the shape of this wooden handle. It looks really comfy. All of my brushes are plastic handles, and they've got like a rubber sort of sleeve on them that tends to slip around, but I think this is going to be really good. Get a look at the bristles there. Really nice. I mean, compared to what I'm using, this is sort of my finest detail brush that I've got. And I don't think this is even the finest brush in the set. Make sure I put this wee cap back on for now. Let's keep them good. And then, like I was saying, the packaging that they come in, it can just be used for a pot. I'll probably just use it to one side, maybe split them into two. And then when I'm not using them, I'll just keep it closed up in there. So, Artiscapade, yep, thanks very much. Really appreciate it. And looking forward to using them. So I've got my wet palette loaded up, ready to go. I've got some khaki tan and then some of this raw umber that comes in a bag, which is a bit odd, but yep, there's a load of it and it was cheap, so I bought it. And just get the boys ready, and I'm just going to give them a stipple coat the way I would normally do. Get my scruffy brush and just give them a stipple coat all over. I'll start with this raw umber first, and the darker one first. And same as always, just get it into all those nooks and crannies. Try not to get it on too thick, like that. If it happens like that, try to rub it off, but it's not the end of the world. So yeah, just go around the whole build, getting them all stippled up, and making sure, like I said, getting it into all those deep parts and nooks and crannies. And this is just going to add a wee bit of texture and variation to any rust that I'm going to leave exposed. And moving on to the other guy here, get him done in the same way. And as I'm doing this, just if I run out of places to hold, I'll just hit it a quick blast with the hairdryer, just to get it dry a wee bit quicker, and then I can move on. So while I get this coat finished, here's another build. This was another email sent in from Mike, and he says he's always had a general interest in sort of art and crafty things, but these are his first scratch builds. The wee red guy there's Turbo Emu, and then the larger yellow bird there, and that head's actually made from the butt of a Barbie. But anyway, his plans are to animate all these, so he has left them with as much articulation as he can, which is just brilliant. This guy's going to have a projector for an eye, like a projector bat. And then last but not least, he built a ship as well. So nicely done, Mike, really cool. So that's a good coat of raw umber done. And I'm going to move on and give him another stipple coat of khaki tan. I'm not going to bother washing my brush or anything, just the same scruffy brush. And notice I'm not using any of my new brushes for this job, no way. Definitely use an old brush if you're going to do a stipple coat. And yep, same again, just carefully go around, stipple them all, stipple. Yeah, so just do that all over, making sure you don't cover up what you've already done. So I'll finish up this big boy here, and then one final step, I'll mix the two colours together, just to make a slightly different tone of brown, and give it one more pass. But sure, while I'm mixing some paint, what about another build? This was sent in by email again, from Lynette, and Lynette's from Canada. And again, this is another first time scratch build, and both these guys are just brilliant. Once again, getting shown up with the bases. She did make a base for the other tank one here, but apparently she didn't get pictures of it, but I'm sure we'll maybe see it at some stage. But look at this tank one, I just love it. The paint job on it's perfect. So nicely done, Lynette, and keep it up, keep them coming. I can't wait to see what's next. So I got my brown mixed, and I'm just going to give them one more pass just with this new mixture of brown, just to give it that wee bit more variation. And there we go, rust coat done, and that's just using 3 colours, plus the red oxide undercoat. But yeah, that's going to work well. And then I've already got some paint mixed up. I took my Conifer Green and just mixed it with some white, just to lighten it a wee bit. And I've got my new brushes at the ready. My Artiscapade Pro Series Fine Detail Brush Set, 30% off there in the description. And I have a lot to choose from here, but I think the best option is going to be the flat number 1. I think that's going to be the best boy for the job. I'll just get him unsheathed here and put that to one side. And then I notice there's nothing sticking the bristles together. I'm used to a new brushes, normally the bristles are tough. They've got like a glue holding them all together, but not here. So I'm literally just going to give it a quick dip in the water and dry it off with a bit of kitchen roll, and think it's good to go. So I'll get it loaded up here with some of this light green. And I was reading on the ebook that I shouldn't load my brush too much. I think I was overloading my brushes, but I think that's because they were rubbish. So we'll see how this goes. And at the minute, it does feel like it's holding a lot more paint. I'm not having to sort of go back and forward, dipping into my paint. I mean, you can see I've almost got half of this painted now, and I haven't went back, and I really just loaded up the tip there. So yep, usual procedure, just paint up to the edge of my rust and leave whatever rust I want exposed really. I could leave a load exposed or just leave a wee bit on the edge, and for this guy I'm just going to leave a wee bit on the edge showing. So my opinion of the brushes so far, really good, really impressed. They hold loads of paint and they're really comfy, so what more can I ask for really? And when it comes to painting the ridges on the lid here, I would normally just do the low parts, try to leave the higher parts exposed, otherwise it can look quite messy. So yeah, it was a bit of trial and error at the start, just sort of figuring out what parts need to leave exposed, but just take your time. So that's my light undercoat done. I can move on now and start adding my final colour, which is going to be that Conifer Green. And I've just given my brush a quick rinse. I'm using the same one, it's just the number 1 flat, and it seems to suit what I'm doing. So what I'll do now is just take my Conifer Green and just now paint up to the edge of that light green, leaving some of that lighter green exposed. And what this does, it just makes it look that the edge of that paint's weathered, you know, that it's been sort of weathered by the sun or chipped away over time. And yeah, it's a really cool effect. I have found that the lighter you make your undercoat, the better it tends to look. So that's the top done. I'll just continue that all over. And sure, while I'm doing that, what about one more build? I already featured Tom's first build, So this is his second and third build, and nicely done, Thom. I was telling him he's going to have an army in no time. Again, the base is just brilliant, and I just like the style. He's got a certain look to his bots now. Now that he's built a few, he's just getting that look of his own. Nicely done, Thom. Keep it up and keep sending them in. So that's a few coats of Conifer Green done. Looking good. It is covered well, and I really like the Conifer Green. It's really nice. So now I want to get a bit of a pattern going along the top here. So I've mixed up some lighter green, just using some yellow mixed with the conifer, and I've got that mixed up ready to go. And I've got another brush here. This is a number 1 round. It looks like it's fit for the job. I'm going to be doing some wavy lines, so I've picked like a slightly longer one. So again, get it loaded up just a tip and start doing some wavy lines. To be honest, at this point I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, but I'm hoping that if I start painting it'll become clear. So I think it's just going to be one line from front to back, just sort of splitting them in half, and I'll continue that right back over the tank and around, sort of wrapping around the tank. And then what I'm going to do is take an orange, my pure pumpkin, and then I'll do another wavy line inside that, and that's look pretty cool. And I've got a wee rust patch there at the front that I want to leave exposed, so I'm just carefully painting around that. And there we go, that's what I ended up with. I did a couple more stripes there just on his arms, just to add a wee bit more colour. And now, since I'm painting a wee bit smaller, I've took my number 1 spot. It just looks like a nice wee sort of shorter bristled brush, and I've got some pure pumpkin here already out on my palette, and I'll just do another wavy line following the same curves inside this green one. And it's probably going to take a couple of coats just to cover this green up with the orange, but no, that's going to look really good. I think that's going to be a nice effect. Alrighty, so a couple of coats of orange later, this is what I've got, and I'm really happy with it. This is the first time I've sort of did as an extreme pattern as this, but no, I think it looks really good. Still a few wee more details to do, like his tires for one, but that's the bulk of the painting done, and yeah, I think he's looking really good. So I'll maybe put him to one side for a while and start on his body. The plan for him is just a simpler paint job. I'm not going to go as extravagant with this guy, but it's 4 in the morning, so I'll quit here for tonight and start again tomorrow. Alrighty, it's the next night, and I've got my brushes ready to go. Last night when I was finished, I just washed them with some cold water and dried them with a bit of kitchen roll, and just made sure to reshape the tips. And I've got my red and my orange pure pumpkin paint. I just mixed a wee bit of pure pumpkin into the red just to brighten it up a wee bit. And same procedure as before, just paint up to those edges, leaving as much rust as I want exposed. But again, for this guy, I'll just leave a tiny wee bit on this edge exposed. And like before, I'll just leave the wheels because I'm going to do those black. And there we go, there's one coat of red, and there's another coat of red, and then one final coat of red. And on the final coat, I just darkened the red back down again with a wee bit of black and left some of that lighter undercoat exposed. So now I'm going to take my number 1 round and just do his wheels. I'm just going to do them black, but again with the ridges here on the lid, what I want to do is try to keep those hashed ridges exposed with the rust, and then I want to leave the outside edges of the lid exposed as well. Just so it ties in with the rest of the paint job and just looks generally weathered and beaten up. So that's one finished. I'll just get the big boy done in the same way. I'm just going to do his wheels the same way, fill them in with black and leaving those edges exposed. Oh, wee mistake there, but that's okay. So there we go, wheels done. So before I add any brown wash, I'm just going to give him a dry brush with some black all over. This will just bring out all the details a wee bit more and just make him look a wee bit grubbier, you know. So yep, just dry brush, just load my brush up with paint and then take most of the brush or most of the paint off the brush with a bit of kitchen roll. So I'll just get that done on both of them, and then I'll do the same again on the bases. I've got a couple of bases made, so I'll do those up with a dry brush as well, just to bring out the details. But you can see what I mean, it just sort of highlights those edges a wee bit more and just makes them just generally grubby and sort of oily looking. And then I've got my pre-prepared base. I'm just going to give it a dry brush again, it'll just bring out the details of the tracks. I'll just show you the other one here that isn't done, just so you can see the difference. You see the difference, it just makes a wee bit of shadow and brings out sort of the rough detail. And I almost forgot to paint Earl's viewing slot. So I've got my number 1 spot brush here, and I'll just paint it with black, just a wee bit of black, just to differentiate it from the rest, because at the minute it just kind of looks like a rusty patch. And there we go, good shout Earl, now at least you can see where he's shooting. And then for this guy, he's just looking a wee bit plain, and I did say I was going to give him a plain paint job, but I think a wee bit of masking just on the top here. I'll just give him a go faster stripe on the top. And so just take my masking tape and mask it off a wee bit here. I'm much more confident now in masking it. I lost faith in it in a build a while back, it just stripped all my paint off. But I've started using it a bit more now, and as long as you're careful with it, and I tend to stick it on my jeans first, and then it just doesn't bite the paint as much. So that's one done on his head, and then maybe do a wee bit on his arm, just because, why not? Just need to try and peel this now without smudging it. I think I've smudged it a wee bit there, but it's all good. Now I'll just leave them to dry overnight, and then tomorrow I'll hit them with a brown wash. Alrighty, it's the next day, and I better put some newspaper down because this is going to get messy. And just take my wee container and my brown wash. This is just some brown oil paint mixed with white spirit, and I'm going to water this down a wee bit more with some more white spirit, because I just remember from last time it's a wee bit too dark. So just water this down and be careful I don't spill this. And yeah, just basically plaster them all over with the brown wash. Don't be a bit shy, get it into all those nooks and crannies. Don't have to be too careful or too particular, just make sure it gets completely covered. So just get them both done here, completely covered, and don't need to leave them sitting for very long. I mean, you can see I've got the first guy sitting to one side while I do the second guy, and just clean my hands off here, and then take my kitchen paper and just go around and dab it off in the places where it's sitting a bit thick, or if it's maybe gathered. Sometimes it gathers in places or pools up. What you can do as well, I've done it before, is hit it with a hairdryer, and it kind of blows it out of the nooks and crannies and kind of leaves like drips and streaks. But yeah, you could do this as many times as you want. You could let this sort of layer of wash dry and then go back in and do another layer. Or sometimes I would give it a coat of clear lacquer first and then go in with the wash, and then it just doesn't darken the paint down quite as much. So we'll give them a coat of clear lacquer and then get them stuck to the base, and then they're ready for their glamour shots. But before that, back to me in the craft room. So there you have it. Thanks very much to Artiscapade. If you're in the market for a good set of brushes, there's 30% off there in the description. We code there in the description for 30% off. And thanks again to everyone for sending in your pics. Keep them coming, keep them coming. Big shout out to all my patrons, David, Wes, Luke, Matt, Alice, Cavo, and my newest supporter Maggie. And as always, I hope this was helpful, and any questions or comments, you just know where to go there, down below, work away, and see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, bye.